a five-pointed star. On ancient pottery, in medieval cathedrals, on witches' amulets, in mathematics textbooks. How did one symbol come to mean so many different things? Today we're exploring one of the most misunderstood symbols in history, the pentagram. You know this shape. 5 points, 5 lines, drawn without lifting your pen from the paper. A perfect star that can be sketched by any child, yet contains within it one of mathematics' most profound secrets. The pentagram is ancient, older than Christianity, older than the Greek philosophers, older than written language itself. The earliest known pentagrams were found on Sumerian pottery from the city of Ur, dating back to 3,500 years before Christ. In Mesopotamia, the symbol appeared on clay tablets and vases. It represented the goddess Ishtar and the god Marduk. It marked city emblems and official seals. To the ancient Sumerians, the pentagram was a symbol of power and divine authority. The symbol spread. In China, 5,000 years ago, the Liangzhu culture carved pentagrams into ceremonial objects. The 5 points represented the Wu Xing, the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. The forces that ancient Chinese philosophy believed governed all existence. In ancient Egypt, the pentagram appeared in hieroglyphs. It represented stars, hours, the underworld. The Egyptians saw in its 5 points the structure of the cosmos. But it was in ancient Greece that the pentagram became something more. The Pythagoreans discovered its secret. Pythagoras, the mathematician and philosopher who lived in the 6th century before Christ, saw in the pentagram a perfect expression of mathematical harmony. His followers adopted it as their symbol, a secret sign of recognition. They called it Hygeia, after the Greek goddess of health, because to them, the pentagram represented well-being, balance, and the divine proportion hidden in nature. And what they discovered inside the pentagram changed mathematics forever. The golden ratio. When you draw a pentagram, every line intersects in the same proportion, 1.618 to 1. The same ratio found in shells, flowers, the human body, the Parthenon. The Greeks called it the division of a line in extreme and mean. Today, we call it phi. The pentagram contains it everywhere, in every intersection of its 5 lines. To the Pythagoreans, this was proof that mathematics governed the universe. The pentagram became their emblem, a mark that identified them to other followers. But the symbol's meaning didn't stop there. In ancient Jerusalem, during the 3rd and 2nd centuries before Christ, the pentagram became the seal of the city's administration. Hebrew letters spelling Jerusalem were inscribed between its 5 points. To the Jewish people, it represented truth, the 5 books of the Torah, the foundation of their scripture. The pentagram was spreading across cultures, carried by traders, philosophers, and conquerors, and everywhere it appeared, it carried meaning. Then came Christianity. In the Middle Ages, the pentagram found new significance. It became a symbol of the 5 wounds of Christ, the nails through his hands and feet, the spear thrust into his side. It represented the 5 senses that Christ experienced as a man, the 5 joys of the Virgin Mary, the Annunciation, the Nativity, the Resurrection, the Ascension, the Assumption. Medieval Christians saw the pentagram as a symbol of protection, a shield against evil. They carved it into churches, drew it on doorways, wore it as an amulet to ward off demons and witches. And then, in the 14th century, the pentagram appeared in one of the greatest works of medieval literature, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. The poem tells of a knight of King Arthur's court who carries a shield bearing a golden pentagram. The poet explains its meaning in detail. The pentagram, he writes, was designed by King Solomon. It is called the endless knot because its lines connect in an unbroken loop, symbolizing eternity. Each of the 5 points represents a group of 5 virtues that Gawain must embody. Faultless in his 5 senses, never failing in his 5 fingers, faithful to the 5 wounds of Christ, strengthened by the 5 joys of Mary, and exemplifying the 5 knightly virtues: generosity, fellowship, purity, courtesy, and piety. The pentagram, in medieval Christianity, was a symbol of moral perfection, a reminder that truth, faith, and virtue were interconnected, that to fail in one was to fail in all. And for centuries, that's what it remained: a Christian symbol, a mark of holiness. Until everything changed. In 1855, a French occultist named Éliphas Lévi published a book that would transform the pentagram forever. Lévi made a distinction that no one had made before. He argued that the orientation of the pentagram mattered. An upright pentagram, with one point facing upward, represented spirit presiding over the 4 elements. It symbolized the divine, the spiritual, the ascent of the soul toward God. But an inverted pentagram, with 2 points facing upward, represented the opposite: matter ruling over spirit, the material world dominating the divine. Lévi saw the inverted pentagram as a symbol of the material, the earthly, the descent into base desire. This idea was new. For thousands of years, the pentagram had been drawn in both orientations without distinction. Medieval Christians used both. The Pythagoreans used both. But Lévi's interpretation took hold, and in 1966, it became something else entirely. Anton LaVey founded the Church of Satan. He adopted the inverted pentagram as the symbol of his organization. But he didn't stop there. He placed a goat's head inside the star, the horns reaching into the 2 upward points, the ears and beard filling the other 3. The image became known as the Sigil of Baphomet, and overnight, the pentagram's meaning shifted in the public consciousness. A symbol that had represented truth, health, and Christian virtue for over 1,000 years became associated with Satanism and the occult. But here's the truth that's often forgotten. The pentagram itself hasn't changed. The inverted pentagram is still used by many groups with no connection to Satanism. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints features both upright and inverted pentagrams on some of its temples. The Order of the Eastern Star, a Masonic organization, uses an inverted pentagram to represent biblical virtues. Orientation alone doesn't determine meaning. Context does. The pentagram's association with Wicca and modern paganism is different still. Wiccans adopted the pentagram in the 1950s, using it to represent the 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. To them, it's a symbol of balance, of nature, of the interconnection between the physical and spiritual worlds. Usually, they draw it upright. Usually, they enclose it in a circle, calling it a pentacle. But the meaning isn't evil. It's not dark. It's a symbol of harmony. The pentagram's story is a reminder that symbols don't have fixed meanings. They transform. They adapt. To the Sumerians, divine authority. To the Pythagoreans, mathematical perfection. To medieval Christians, the wounds of Christ. To modern Wiccans, the balance of nature. The nature of symbols. They're mirrors. The pentagram itself is just 5 lines, 5 points, drawn in a single stroke. It contains the golden ratio. It appears in nature. It's mathematically elegant. In the late 1990s, American schools banned students from wearing pentagram jewelry, claiming it represented Satanism. But many students were Wiccans. To them, the pentagram was religious. The courts sided with the students. A symbol's meaning isn't universal. It belongs to the person who wears it. The pentagram today is many things: a mathematical curiosity, a religious emblem, a mark of rebellion. It appears on flags. Morocco's green pentagram symbolizes health. It's in rating systems, 5 stars for excellence. It's the simple star we doodle as children. We've been drawing it for 5,000 years. The pentagram has survived because it adapts. To some, it's sacred. To others, profane. To many, both. And perhaps that's the lesson. Symbols are what we make them. The pentagram is 5,000 years old. It has represented gods and demons, mathematics and magic, protection and rebellion. And through it all, it remains what it's always been. 5 lines, 5 points, an endless knot. A mirror reflecting who we are and what we believe. The pentagram doesn't choose its meaning. We do.